There is a specific kind of magic that belongs only to the off-season. It is a kid gray sort of magic, the kind that doesn't ask for your attention but waits patiently for you to notice it. Most people chase the sun. They want the bright blue skies and the crowded beaches and the noise of the arcade. But you and I, we know better. We know that the coast is at its most honest when the crowds have gone home. We know that the sea speaks more clearly when there is no one else around to listen. Imagine you have just turned the engine off. You are sitting in your car, parked on a gravel drive outside a small wooden chalet. The journey was long, a blur of motorway lights and rhythmic windshield wipers. But now you have arrived. The silence inside the car is sudden and profound. You take a deep breath, and even through the glass, you can sense the change in the air. It is fresher here, sharper. It smells of salt and wet stones and cold, deep water. You open the car door and step out. The air hits your cheeks, cool and bracing. It wakes you up in the most gentle way possible. Above you, the sky is a blanket of soft, shifting gray clouds. It isn't a dark, stormy gray. It is a light pearl gray, like the inside of an oyster shell. It diffuses the light, making the whole world look soft and hazy, like a watercolor painting that hasn't quite dried yet. You walk up the wooden steps to the chalet door. This is your home for the next week. It is a humble place, clad in white weatherboard that has been battered by 1,000 salty winds. It stands on the edge of the dunes, looking out towards the North Sea. You reach into your pocket and pull out the key. It is a real key, heavy in metal, attached to a faded blue plastic fob with the number 4 etched into Italiano. No electronic cards here, just the satisfying weight of brass. You slide it into the locklick and the door swings open. You step inside. The chalet smells wonderful. It smells of pine wood, old paper, and that distinct, clean scent of a place that has been closed up for the winter. It is chilly, but that is part of the charm. You find the switch for the electric heater on the wall. Click. A faint hum begins, and soon a dry, comforting warmth will start to fill the room. You close the door behind you, shutting out the wind. Now, it is just you and the cabin. The main room is simple. There is a sofa covered in a tartan wool throw, a small round table, and a bookshelf filled with paperbacks that have been left behind by previous visitors, spines creased, pages yellowed with age. You drop your bag on the floor. You are not in a rush to unpack. There is no schedule here. There is no breakfast buffet to catch, no tour bus to meet. Time has stopped. You walk to the large window that dominates the front wall. This is why you came. Beyond the glass, past the wooden railing of the deck, lies the gray sea. It is vast and restless. Today, the water is the color of slate, churned up with white caps that look like lace doilies thrown across a dark table. The tide is high. You can hear it, even through the double glazing. A low, rolling roar. Rumble. Crash. Hiss. It is a sound that gets into your bones and slows your heartbeat down to match its rhythm. Rain begins to fall. It starts as a gentle mist, blurring the horizon where the gray sea meets the gray sky, but soon it thickens. You hear the first few drops hit the roof. Tap, tap. The roof is made of tin, or perhaps corrugated iron, and it acts like a drum for the weather. The tapping turns into a steady drumming, a beautiful, enclosing sound that makes you feel incredibly safe. There is nothing quite like being inside a small wooden shelter while the elements play outside. It amplifies the coziness. The worse the weather gets out there, the warmer and safer you feel in here. You decide that the first order of business is, of course, a cup of tea. It is the ritual that begins every holiday. You walk into the small kitchenette. It is retro in a charming way, cream-colored cupboards and a linoleum floor. You fill the kettle at the tap. The water runs clear and cold. You click the kettle on and stand there, waiting. In the silence of the chalet, the boiling of the kettle sounds loud and important. You watch the water bubble, the steam rising up to fog. The small window above the sink. You find a mug in the cupboard. It is thick ceramic, glazed in blue. You place a tea bag inside. You listen to the rain drumming harder now, a true downpour. The kettle clicks off. You pour the water. The steam rises, smelling of bergamot and comfort. You add a splash of milk and watch it swirl into clouds, turning the dark liquid into a warm caramel color. You wrap your hands around the mug. The heat seeps into your palms, warming your fingers. Carrying your tea, you go back to the tartan sofa and sit down. You tuck your legs underneath you. You take a sip. It is perfect. Hot, strong, and familiar. You look out at the rain-lashed dunes. The long dune grass is flattened by the wind, wobbling wildly. A single seagull glides past, mastering the wind with effortless grace, disappearing into the mist. This is the beauty of the offs. If it were August, this place would be full of noise. Children shouting, radios playing, cars starting. But now, there is no one. You saw the sun at the gate. No vacancies. But not because it's full, because it's closed. Except for you, you have the special permission of silence. The holiday park is a ghost town in the most peaceful way. The rows of other chalets stand empty, their curtains drawn, sleeping until spring. You are the only lights on in the village. A solitary beacon of warmth in a gray world. You realize, sitting there, that you've let out a breath you didn't know you were holding. Your shoulders have dropped 2 inches. The knot of tension that lives between your shoulder blades is beginning to loosen. The real world, the world of emails and deadlines and traffic, feels like it exists on a different planet. Here, there is only the gray sea, the rain, and the steam rising from your cup. You pick up one of the old paperbacks from the table. It's a mystery novel, printed in the 1970s. The pages feel soft and rough like fabric. You read the first paragraph, but you don't really take it in. Your eyes keep drifting back to the window. The rain is streaking the glass now, creating rivulets that race each other to the bottom. The world outside is a blur of greens and grays. You are safe here. You are hidden here. No one knows where you are, and even if they did, they wouldn't come out in this weather. You are completely, utterly undisturbable. After a while, the warmth of the tea and the heater really starts to do its work. You feel settled, cozy, but there's a restlessness in the off-season too. A strange desire to be out there in the elements, just so you can have the pure pleasure of coming back inside again. You decide to take a walk. This isn't a walk for exercise, and it's definitely not a walk to catch a tan. This is a walk to witness the weather. You go to the hook by the door where your coat is hanging. It's a proper raincoat, heavy and a bright, cheerful yellow made of this thick, rubberized fabric that smells faintly of oil and maybe a little like attic dust. You slide your arms into the sleeves. The material is stiff and cold at first, but it traps your body heat almost instantly. You zip it up all the way to your chin. Zip. What a satisfying sound of closure. You pull on your woolen hat, nice and snug, and wrap a scarf twice around your neck. Finally, you step into your Wellington boots. They are a deep green and sturdy, standing by the door like a pair of loyal sentries. You stamp your feet a couple of times to settle them in. Now, you're ready. You are waterproof. You are windproof. You are a walking fortress against the storm. You open the door and step out onto the deck. The wind greets you instantly, ruffling your hood, pushing against your chest. It's a blustery, energetic wind, full of the fresh scent of sea spray. You lock the door behind you, turning the heavy brass key and slide it deep into your pocket. You carefully walk down the wooden steps, which are slick with rain, and onto the gravel path. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound of your boots on the gravel is the only man-made noise in the entire world right now. You head towards the beach. The path winds through the sand dunes. The long, reedy marram grass whips back and forth in the wind, tracing little arcs in the wet sand. You climb the final dune, and there it is, the beach. It stretches out for what looks like miles in both directions. A vast, unbroken ribbon of wet, gray sand reflecting the heavy sky above like a perfect mirror. And it is completely, wonderfully empty. In the summer, this exact spot would be a chaotic mosaic of windbreaks, beach towels, and sunburned bodies. Today, it's beautifully desolate. It's just you and the ocean. You walk down to the waterline. The tide is turning now, beginning to retreat, leaving behind a line of treasures along the shore. Tangled knots of dark seaweed, empty, pearlescent razor clamshells, and smooth pebbles ground down by centuries of tumbling in the waves. You bend down and pick up a pebble. It's perfectly round, a soft gray with a single, stark white stripe running through it. It feels cold and incredibly smooth in your gloved hand. You decide to put it in your pocket, a small souvenir of a perfect gray day. You turn and start walking along the shoreline, heading towards the town in the distance. The rain is still falling, a steady, gentle drizzle that pats against your hood. Pat, pat, pat. It's a comforting, almost hypnotic rhythm. You feel so safe and warm inside all your layers. The cold is out there, but all the warmth is right here with you. Ahead, the town begins to rise up out of the mist. It's a classic Victorian seaside town, fading gracefully with age. You reach the promenade, a long paved walkway with old iron railings painted appealing white. You walk along the concrete. To your left, the endless, churning sea. To your right, a long row of closed-up kiosks. Rosie's ice cream, shuttered tight, fish and chips. A sign says closed until March. The Golden Sands Arcade, dark and completely silent. There's a strange, melancholic beauty to a closed arcade. You press your face close to the glass doors and peer inside. In the gloom, you can just make out the rows of machines, all sleeping. The penny pushers, the claw machines filled with forgotten neon teddy bears. The driving simulators with their dark screens, they're all turned off. There are no flashing lights, no electronic jingles, no shouts of victory or groans of defeat. Just silent shapes in the shadows, waiting patiently for the children to return in the spring. It feels like a museum of fun, frozen in time. You think you like it better this way. It's so peaceful. You walk further into the town. The streets are wet, the tarmac shining like black glass under the street lamps, which are flickering on early in the afternoon gloom. Most of the shops here are independent places zoo, past a charity shop with a charming display of old teapots, a bakery that smells faintly of yeast and warm bread even though it's closed, and a hardware store that looks like it sells everything from buckets and spades to tiny screws and nails. You continue wandering with no real destination in mind. You notice the little details of the offs. A seagull perched on a lamppost, looking down at the empty streets with a sort of regal indifference. A single plastic bucket, forgotten on a bench, slowly filling with rainwater. The houses are all battened down, their windows dark, but you can see smoke curling from a few chimneys. Little signs of life and warmth. Tucked away inside, there's a quiet story being told everywhere you look. It's the story of a town at rest, gathering its strength for the busy season to come. This walk has become more than just an escape from the indoors. It's an immersion into the quiet soul of the seaside in winter. It's a reminder that there's a unique and profound beauty in emptiness, in silence, in the gray tones of the sky and sea. It's not a vibrant, loud, sunny kind of beauty. It's a subtle, contemplative, and deeply personal one. It's the kind of beauty that makes you feel like you've discovered a secret that only you and the town share. As you start to head back, you feel a deep sense of contentment. The cold air has been invigorating, the rhythmic sound of the waves has been calming, and the solitude has been a gift. You retrace your steps along the promenade, the patter of rain on your hood, a familiar friend now. The crunch of your boots on the gravel path back to the house sounds like a welcome home. You can already imagine the feeling of taking off your wet layers, the rush of warm air as you open the door, and the deep satisfying comfort of being back inside, looking out at the very weather you just walked through. You've been out in the elements, and now you have the pleasure of coming back in again, and it feels absolutely perfect. Thanks for joining me on this little walk. If you enjoyed this journey, be sure to follow for more. See you next time. You spot a small newsagent on the corner. The lights are on inside, casting a warm yellow square onto the wet pavement. You push the door open. Ding! An old-fashioned bell announces your arrival. The shop is small and cluttered and wonderfully warm. It smells of newsprint, peppermint, and carpet. The floor is lined with mismatched tiles. You walk down the narrow aisle. The shelves are stacked with jigsaw puzzles, boxes of tea, and tins of biscuits. Behind the counter sits a man reading a newspaper with reading glasses perched on the end of his nose. He looks up and nods. A silent acknowledgement. In the off-season, locals don't need to say much. A nod is enough. It says, "I see you are brave in the rain, and welcome to the quiet." You pick up a local paper, the Seaside Gazette, and a bar of chocolate wrapped in purple foil. You take them to the counter. The transaction is slow and calm. Coins are counted out. Clink, clink. A paper bag is rustled open. You put your treasures inside. "Stay dry," the man says softly as you leave. "You too," you reply. You step back out into the wind. The contrast is sharp. The cold air feels fresh after the stuffy warmth of the shop. You tuck the paper bag inside your coat to keep it dry. You begin the walk back along the promenade. The light is failing now. The gray sky is darkening to charcoal. The lights of the town are reflecting in the wet pavement, long streaks of orange and red. Far out at sea, you see a blinking light, a buoy, or perhaps a ship navigating the gray waters. Flash, pause, flash, pause. It is a steady heartbeat in the darkness. You match your steps to it. Left, right, left, right. You are not just walking. You are patrolling the edge of the world. You are the only person who knows how beautiful this is. You reach the dunes again. The path back to the chalet is darker now, but you know the way. The chalet is waiting for you. You can see its shape in the distance, a small dark square against the sky. You imagine the heater humming inside. You imagine the kettle waiting to be boiled again. You imagine the book you left on the arm of the sofa. You climb the wooden steps. Your boots feel heavy now, coated in wet sand. You reach into your pocket for the brass key. It is cold against your fingers. You find the lock in the dark. Click. You open the door. The warmth hits you immediately. It wraps around you like a hug. You step inside and close the door firmly against the night. The wind is shut out. The rain is shut out. You are back in your sanctuary. You peel off your wet coat and hang it up. It drips onto the mat, but that doesn't matter. You kick off your boots. Your feet are free. You wiggle your toes in your thick woolen socks. You are home, and there is absolutely nothing you need to do for the rest of the night. Now that you are inside, the evening stretches out before you like a calm, quiet ocean. There is a specific rhythm to a solitary evening in a seaside cabin. It is slower, more deliberate, and entirely yours. You step into the small kitchenette, a cozy corner dedicated to simple nourishment. The light outside has faded completely now. The window is just a reflection of the room, a perfect square of warmth set against the vast black night. You decide to make supper. Something simple, something that warms you from the inside out. A gentle comfort against the growing chill of the evening. You open the cupboard, your fingers brushing against familiar packages, and take out a tin of tomato soup and a loaf of thick, crusty bread you bought from the village bakery earlier today. You remember the warm, yeasty smell that filled the tiny shop. You open the tin a satisfying crick-crack and pour the thick, rich red soup into a small saucepan. You set it on the stove, turn the dial, and a ring of blue flame appears with a soft, reassuring wood. You stand there and stir the soup gently with a wooden spoon, round and round. There is something hypnotic about it. This simple, repetitive motion. Watching the steam begin to curl up, smelling the sweet, acidic scent of tomatoes filling the small space. You are not rushing. There is nowhere to be. You are just here, watching the soup heat up, moment by moment. You slice the bread. The knife crunches through the firm, golden crust, revealing a soft, airy inside. You put 2 thick slices in the toaster. A moment later, they spring up perfectly browned. The smell of toasted bread now joins the smell of the soup. It is the scent of safety, of home, of uncomplicated contentment. You carry your bowl and your plate to the small round table by the window. You can't see the sea anymore, but you can hear it. The tide has turned and is coming back in, crashing against the shore with a heavier, deeper sound than before. The wind has picked up too. It whistles around the corners of the cabin. A high, lonely sound. But it doesn't scare you. It makes you feel snug. Almost smug. You are in here, with your hot soup and the gentle hum of the heater, and the wild wind is out there, powerless to touch you. You dip a corner of the toast into the soup, letting it soak up the warmth. Each spoonful is a small act of self-care. It's not just food, it's a ritual. The silence of the cabin is a comfortable companion, broken only by the sounds of your simple meal and the rising voice of the weather outside. You eat slowly, savoring every bite, every moment of peace. You reach over to the small transistor radio sitting on the shelf. It is an old, charming model, silver with a long, extendable antenna. You turn the static hissishi dashia sound that strangely mimics the waves receding on the sand. You tune it carefully, your fingers gliding over the numbers until a voice cuts cleanly through the noise. It is a deep, calm, steady voice. It is time for the shipping forecasts. Viking north at Sire, wind southwest 4 or 5, increasing 6 later. Rain, moderate or poor. The names of the sea, areas drift over you like a strange and beautiful poem. Dogger Fisher, German Bite, Humber Thames. They are magical words, painting pictures of unseen places. They remind you that there are ships out there in the immense darkness, navigating the vast, churning waters. But you are anchored. You are safe on dry land. The voice is steady, rhythmic, almost boring in the most beautiful way. It is a lullaby for the nation, a comforting constant in a changing world. You listen, feeling connected to a larger story, yet perfectly content in your own small chapter. You finish your soup, scraping the last bits from the bowl with your spoon. You wash the bowl and the spoon in the small sink. The water is warm and soapy, a pleasant sensation on your hands. You dry them carefully with a clean tea towel and put them away. The kitchen is tidy. The day is done. Everything is in its place. It is time to retreat further, to burrow deeper into the evening's comfort. You switch off the heater in the main room, The bright orange coil fades slowly to a dull red, then to gray, its warmth lingering in the air for a moment before dissipating. You walk into the small bedroom at the back of the cabin. This room is smaller, even cozier than the main living space. It is dominated by a bed with a heavy wooden frame that promises solid, uninterrupted sleep. The window here looks out onto the dark shape of the dunes, and the rain is lashing against the glass. Now, drum. Drum. A heavy, relentless, percussive beat. The bed is made up with crisp white sheets and a duvet that looks incredibly thick and inviting. You turn on the small bedside lamp. It casts a soft pool of golden light on the pillow, a beacon in the cool, dim room. You change into your pajamas. The air in the bedroom is crisp and cool against your skin. You shiver slightly, but it is a good shiver. It is the kind of shiver that makes the anticipation of climbing into a warm bed even sweeter. You will beg the heavy duvet. The sheer weight of it is surprising. You slide in. Oh, the sheets are cold at first. Shockingly, invigoratingly cold. But you curl up, pulling your knees towards your chest, and within seconds, your own body heat begins to create a warm pocket of air, a personal haven. You pull the duvet right up to your chin. It feels heavy, pressing you down gently into the mattress. The weight is grounding. It's a physical signal to your body, telling your muscles they don't need to hold you up anymore. The bed has got you. You can let go. You reach out and click off the lamp. Darkness, absolute, total darkness, the kind you only find far away from city lights. Now, with your sight gone, your hearing becomes your primary sense. You are lying in a warm cocoon, listening to the magnificent theater of the storm. You hear the wind buffeting the walls, a low moan as it tries to find a way in. You hear the rain hammering on the roof, a chaotic, energetic symphony of water against wood, and underneath it all, you hear the distant, constant roar of the ocean, fighting the shore in the black of night. It sounds wild out there. Chaotic, cold, but in here, it is profoundly still. In here, it is deeply warm. You visualize the cabin from the outside, a tiny wooden box perched on the edge of the world, dark and silent, with you safe inside it, like a pearl in its shell. The storm can rage all night. It doesn't matter. You have thick walls. You have a heavy roof. You have a warm, safe bed. Your breathing slows down, finding its own natural rhythm. It begins to match the rhythm of the wind, in listening to the gust build out, feeling the momentary calm. The words of the shipping forecasts are still playing softly in your mind. Humber, Thames, Dover, White, drifting. The thoughts of the data drive, finding the key, the walk on the beach, the taste of the soup, they all dissolve into a gentle mist. There is only the warmth of your body. There is only the comforting weight of the heavy duvet. There is only the sound of the rain, a protective blanket shielding you from the silence. You are off season. You are powered down. You are closed for winter. Sleep comes easily here. It doesn't need to be chased. It comes like the tide, washing over your feet, tend your legs, then your chest, pulling you under its gentle current. Warm, dark, safe, sleep. Thank you for spending this quiet evening with me. If you enjoyed this little escape, consider following for more moments of peace. Good night. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your night. May you find deep peace and restful sleep. Wishing you the sweetest dreams. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.